Members, the first time that I met Paul Renner, he was a candidate for the Florida House, not the time he won. And I was supporting him, and I remember us being on the phone during a recount election that came down to 2 votes, as was mentioned by Chairman Payne. But what I remember most about that wasn't that my friend, Paul Renner, who we were helping, didn't win that day. What I remember is the last phone call we had in that recount. See, I called Paul, and he'd found out that he wasn't going to win, and I was downtrodden about it, but he wasn't. I remember the last thing he said to me, Reverend Renner, he said to me, "It's okay, God has a plan. God has a plan." I remember getting off the phone with him and saying, gosh, that guy, he's special, and he'll be back. Of course, he did come back, was elected in the next cycle. And, people ask me all the time, Paul, and I'm sure they've asked the leaders, the former speakers that are here, what makes a good leader? What makes a good speaker? The obvious things are who your counterparts. I've been blessed to have President Simpson as my counterpart in the Senate and the boldest governor in America in the governor's mansion. But what they don't really talk about is the Speaker-designate, the person who works with you every day during the course of the session, helps things become successful, works on our conservative principles to make sure that not only is the state successful, but that every member of this Republican conference is successful as well. And I can tell you that I could have asked for no better partner, no better friend, no man that I could trust more in a business that is not full of trust than you, Paul. And I can tell you this, many of the people here know you, some of them are friends and family, but for those who might not know you so well, what I would tell you is that Paul is the kind of person who doesn't seek the limelight. He's a person of great moral character who's deeply committed to Adriana, to Abigail, and to his growing family. I can tell you I've never seen Paul happier or more animated than the day he found out he was going to be a father. Paul, you do us a great honor. Adriana and Abigail and your family do us a great honor by you coming to the well to accept the nomination as our future speaker. Please approach the well.
Thank you very much. Our 16-month-old daughter is with us here today, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed she stayed quiet this long. It's a lucky break for anyone who is hoping to get some sleep in the next 15 minutes. My wife and I are usually not that lucky, I'll tell you. Mr. Speaker, thank you for those kind words, and I'm happy to call you my friend. You have shown steady judgment in presiding over this chamber, and Florida is a better state because of your leadership. To the members of our conference, I am honored by your confidence in me, and it's a privilege to serve with each of you. There is no legislative body in the nation that is bolder and does more for its constituents than the Florida House. Governor DeSantis, we've had a great few years together, and I promise you, we are just getting started. Lieutenant Governor Nunes, AG Moody, and CFO Petronas, I want to thank you for your work in keeping Florida safe and prosperous. President Simpson, you've been a great leader, and I have to tell you, Tallahassee's not going to be the same if you leave town, but I think we found a solution for that. Senator Passidomo, I am fortunate to have you as my counterpart and blessed that you are also my friend. You're a strong, principled leader and always an honest broker, and I'm really looking forward to our partnership and all the good we will accomplish together. Leader Alexander, before we were leaders, we were friends. Even when we disagree, my door will always be open, and my respect for you will never be in doubt. Representative Payne, Representative Leak, I'm honored by your comments and will work hard to meet the high bar that you've set for me. Thank you. I also want to thank the many friends and supporters who've traveled to Tallahassee today. I am truly grateful for your presence and so honored by your many years of friendship. And finally, there's a group that deserves our thanks but rarely gets our public recognition, our families. Let's rise and thank them for their support and service to our state. I would not be speaking to you today or serving in this chamber were it not for the incredible love and support of my wife, Adriana. When you get to know my wife, you will find someone with a huge heart and a generous spirit. You know, in the world of politics, we often find people who are inauthentic and insincere. My wife, on the other hand, is the most real person I know, and she always keeps me grounded. Sweetheart, there are not enough words in the dictionary or time in this speech for me to tell you how much I love you and baby Abigail with all of my heart. I love you, honey. While we're talking about family, the studies prove that the most positive influence on a child's life is a strong and loving family. If every child grew up in a supportive family, society's problems would disappear. If strong families disappear, society would crumble, and no amount of government programs could save us. Now, God must have known that I needed more parenting than the typical child, so he delivered me into a family with a father who was a minister and a mother who was a public school teacher. If I didn't learn about right and wrong from that combo, it was my own fault. Through Arville and Mavis Renner, I learned about what really matters in life: faith in God, the importance of family, living a life of personal responsibility and respect for others. They taught me that through hard work and determination, you can accomplish anything. And they taught me the importance of service to others. While my mother's no longer with us, I'm proud to have my father and brother here today. Two years ago, when I was sitting where you are now and the speaker was standing here, none of us could have imagined the existence or effects of COVID-19. I do not pretend to know what the world looks like in 14 months or the new challenges we may face. Today in this speech is not my time to talk about the issues facing us this session or the bills we should consider. That message belongs to the governor and our presiding officers. Instead, I want to share some lessons from my own experience and the principles that I believe should guide us regardless of the challenges we face. As most of you know, before joining the legislature, I had the privilege to serve with the great men and women of our military. While there are obvious differences between military and legislative service, there are lessons from the military that can be helpful to our conference. The first lesson is the value of our team. Now, to teach this lesson, the military invented boot camp. I remember waking up to drill instructors banging on metal garbage can lids and counting down to zero, screaming at us to make our beds, fold our blankets, and get into our uniforms. If a single member of your company failed to finish on time, we all did push-ups. You soon realize that you need to help your teammates to succeed. Others may help you. The lesson from boot camp is clear. Success depends on the men and women to your left and to your right. We can either succeed together or fail alone. This lesson applies to the Florida House. You know, if we stand together as one team, acting on principle and with the courage of our convictions, there is absolutely no limit to what we can accomplish together. The military also taught me about keeping the right perspective. I had the privilege to serve in Operation Desert Storm and 20 years later in Afghanistan. When you receive your deployment orders, reality sinks in that there's a chance you may not come back. But in a real way, it's liberating. You begin to think about what really matters in life, what you will truly miss if you don't come back, and in the end, what is worth dying for. Members, when you determine what's on that list, when you know who and what you're willing to die for, you also discover that those are the only things worth living for. Everything else is a distraction. We should embrace this perspective during our time in the legislature. We all came here to do something of importance, something that will last after we're gone. If we approach every session knowing that our time of service is limited, if we keep perspective and focus on what matters most, we will tackle big problems with bold, lasting solutions. This includes preserving the beauty of Florida's natural resources so we can pass it down better than we found it to the next generation. Members, on your desk is a photograph by award-winning photographer Carlton Ward. An 8th-generation Floridian, Carlton's photographs highlight the Florida Wildlife Corridor and challenge us to preserve it. Each photograph is unique and captures a special place in or near your district. These photographs remind us that we are responsible for preserving and improving this great state for our children. My parents taught me about the things that matter most. As a child, they introduced me to missionaries who were willing to risk their own lives to smuggle Bibles into places like China and the Soviet Union. Families in those countries gathered secretly and used those Bibles to learn about the God of perfect love and perfect justice. How could those concepts threaten anyone? Yet the same communist leaders that promised their people heaven on earth were determined to stop anyone from discussing the real thing. If discovered, these believers faced prison or worse. This childhood experience left 2 strong impressions that form the core of what I believe today. First is that there must be something real and powerful about the gospel message if people are willing to risk their own lives to share it with complete strangers. It's also why I'm so passionate about freedom. I realized as a child that there's no real freedom in a society that suppresses dissenting views. I ran for office, like you, out of a deep belief that our country and its founding principles have provided more freedom and more opportunity to more people learning philosophy and history. Today, political labels mean different things to people and often distract us from what's truly at stake. But there are 2 clear directions, 2 distinct political visions, and the difference between them couldn't be clearer. As a state and as a country, we are either moving in a direction toward greater freedom and greater opportunity or away from it. Florida Republicans have embraced freedom and opportunity. We empower the 21 million people of Florida to make decisions that are best for them. We support strong families and parental rights. We believe in the nobility of work, and we honor those workers who show up every day to make this country so successful. Florida Republicans are the champions for we the people. That's why we support the ability of parents to choose the education that's best for their children. We support transparency and patient choice in healthcare. And we support breaking barriers to work and opportunity so workers can find higher wages and live the American dream. We keep taxes low because individuals and families know best how to spend the money they earn. And we know that our law enforcement and first responders put their own safety at risk to save ours, and we will always have their back. And we defend our constitutional rights to believe what you want, to say what you want, to worship as you choose, and to exercise your Second Amendment right to defend yourself. And we understand these God-given rights, while recognized in the Constitution, are only as good as the respect we give to the right necessary to all others, the right to life. Our children deserve a chance at life. They deserve to grow up in a neighborhood where it's safe to walk at night, and they deserve equal opportunity. We must continue to take bold steps to lift people up who are locked in poverty, trapped in a failing school, or who made mistakes and deserve a second chance. Members, our vision of freedom and opportunity is a positive vision. It lifts people up and celebrates the dignity and value of every man, woman, and child that God created. Now, there's a competing vision. This vision dismisses our ability to pursue freedom and opportunity on our own terms. It places its faith in bureaucrats, elites who are convinced that they know what's best for us and are eager to make decisions for us, controlling the health care we receive, controlling how our children are educated, and controlling how much of our hard-earned money we're allowed to keep, believing that they can spend it better. Now, we will debate these competing visions here in the Florida House, and when we do, we will always practice civility, and when we disagree, we will do so in a spirit of mutual respect. Nationally, however, this competing vision has become radicalized. Increasingly, it seeks to control what we can say and even believe. Social media bans, group guilt, and campaigns to marginalize opposing viewpoints have become the new norm. This vision divides us and stokes grievances, all in an effort to gain complete control. It fosters a world where there is only one acceptable point of view, only one acceptable political vision. Bullying people to conform to a narrow set of ideals is not progressive, and it certainly isn't American. Instead, this radical vision reminds me of the false promises and suppression of dissent that prevailed in Cuba, just 90 miles from our shore. The Cuban people have suffered under this failed vision long enough and have taken to the streets to demand their freedom. We hear their calls for freedom and stand with them in complete solidarity. Estamos con la gente de Cuba. We are with the people of Cuba and everyone who is denied a life of freedom. When people suffer under communism in places like Cuba and Venezuela, I'm reminded of those missionaries and my first impressions growing up. You know, it always follows the same pattern. They were promised utopia. They received poverty, prison, and death. This kind of radical vision that restricts your rights to say what you believe and takes away your ability to make decisions that are best for you and your family has no place in the state of Florida. As Washington, D.C. moves rapidly in the wrong direction, away from freedom, all eyes are on Florida. Members, what we do here is bigger than just our state. Our actions today will guide the future course of other states and our country for many years to come. The best way to beat a bad idea is with a good idea, and Florida is lighting the way. That's why I'm so optimistic about the future of our state. We can exceed our own high expectations if we always pursue policies based on our principles, if we stand together as one team, depending on the men and women to our left and to our right, and if we act with courage, unwavering and unbreakable courage to do what we know is right. If we commit ourselves to this course, Florida will continue to be the best state in America. Its citizens will enjoy a greater measure of political and economic freedom than anywhere in the world. And through that freedom, they will enjoy an abundance of opportunity, knowing that if they work hard and stay determined, they can better their lives and reach their dreams. Members, I am so proud to be a part of this conference, and I look forward to serving with each of you as we continue such an important mission at such an important time. May God guide and bless our efforts. Thank you.
I think Abigail got a little animated there at the end. Paul, I know Paul and Adriana, I know speak for everyone when we congratulate you and are excited that you are now the Speaker-designate of the Florida House of Representatives. Congratulations again. Members, it's been an honor to preside over this election of Speaker-designate Renner. With that, I'll turn the gavel back over to Leader Grant.